Hello and welcome back, everyone, for Game 2 of our second series of the day. Dignitas Academy somehow pull it off here after throwing a little bit of a lead they had to Immortals and then playing catch back and forth. Immortals throw it right on back over. And Dignitas Academy are now up 1-0 in the series. So let's break down exactly what happened in that Game 1 cubby for anybody who wasn't able to catch it. And then also use that to kind of jump us into Game 2, what expectations are. So early game felt like it was going well for Dignitas to start things off.
Yeah, I really liked how Dignitas played around that first Rift Herald. I feel like they utilized the Twist of Fate and the Camille rather well, trying to attack the top side, try and set up Lordo for success. That said, they tripped over themselves a little bit, and I do want to credit, actually, I think, Anda for not only tracking Will so well in the early game, but also pulling off that top dive with Pretty, answering back the telegraph play that Dignitas had. This isn't that, but this is a good play coming out for Dignitas. How they obtained that early lead by really shutting down this dive on Viper. Very well played from both Lordo and Saligo. And Viper not able to get the riposte off. Just ends up going down.
And there were two plays very similar to that, where Immortals just try and overdive top lane and Dignitas turn it around. It looks like we're not going to get the replay of it, but even Spawn getting the kill in the bot lane, the 2v2. Actually, no, it does look like that's this one right here. Yeah, I love this play so much. Just JJ blocking the damage, throwing out the exhaust, and then, you know, we don't see 2v2s that often, so it's cool when they do happen to be like, yeah, all right, there we go. It's cool to see Spawn kind of also having a breakout moment there.
This was the play that Immortals had a pretty good read on. Or I don't think it wasn't quite this one, but I will credit Immortals in the fact that they do have to play off the back foot, have to play behind in this matchup. This was it. This was the really good answer coming in from Pretty and the rest of IMT, as they know that Viper's going to get attacked topside. They know that there is a Twist of Fate on the side of Dignitas, and this setup here, I thought, from Immortals, it was too deep, but at least a good attempt, a good response for what was going on, at least into what Dignitas were doing, but they just got out-executed. And this is another one where one of the reasons that Immortals did fall pretty far behind is that they're grouped up with Ryze and Fiora. And this was after they'd used a lot of teamfight tools to try and get something started against Dignitas. They weren't able to do it. They didn't return to the side lanes to see the objective. So instead, Dignitas wiped this teamfight, and a lot of gold and a lot of time to farm goes over to Spawn, which comes back to bite them later in the game when they do end up turning things around.
And I think that was pretty much the last time that we saw Dignitas Academy get a big advantage, get a big win, because then from that moment, it was Immortals that were actually controlling everything here, as you know, they're able to take away that Baron. This fight in particular, too, you know, Pretty's able to stay alive for way too long, and with that massive volley bear ultimate. And like, this is where it's like, okay, Immortals, they're actually gonna turn this game. They're probably gonna win this one, but then eventually we'll get to the second Baron attempt, and it'll all kind of make sense.
If you did miss it, it was a very back-and-forth game. And this was off of Saligo getting a pick on Viper on the top side and then rejoining the fight, as Saligo was the big difference maker, was the reason that Dignitas got back into this game, as he won the 1v1 on the top side, as Immortals just ended up pressing that Baron too hard, right? They thought that they could take the Baron and take the base, or at least threaten the Baron and then take the base in the back half, and Saligo said no to both. And that's what ends up making sure this game goes into Dignitas' favor. As we talked about Spawn getting ahead, this is exactly what Dignitas wanted to do. Stun someone with the gold card, make sure they get one shot with this Tristana. Pretty didn't have the Zhonya's back up from the last fight. He goes down first. Dignitas get to fight a nice front to back off these gold cards, and they get to make things look easy.
Yeah, and then in these choke point fights, like this fight right there, Dignitas just played the choke better. They're grouped up. They don't let themselves, you know, get split focus. They have kind of a line drawn parallel down that Raptor brush, and Immortals just overextend a couple too many times, and Dignitas use that to close out the game. If Immortals hadn't gone for that aggressive of a fight there at their Raptors, good chance that they can just kind of defend, wait out the Baron, and then we have a very different end game state. So when we were talking about this game after it was all said and done, once we went to break, both of us were saying there's stuff to work on for each of these teams. There's areas of improvement for sure, but the fact that it was this close and the fact that Dignitas were able to clutch it out off the back of Saligo, I think that Dignitas, they can still walk away feeling pretty good about what they showed in that game. It's just that one big kind of Baron swing that got the game away from them. Other than that, it did feel like they were in a pretty good spot throughout.
And I know that's something that, from catching up with Will before the matches, that Dignitas, at least Will feels like, is really the difference from the Dignitas we saw in the regular season to the post-UGP Dignitas. And that's he feels like he's grown a lot. This is a player that this is his first split playing Academy. He was picked out of solo queue. Fun fact, he was actually on Dignitas Mirage, their amateur team, for the first OQ of the summer split for Challengers Uprising. And then he hops immediately into Dignitas after Acadian gets promoted, and he's grown. And he said, I had to get over myself. I had to like figure out these mental blocks that I had and figure out a better way to translate my solo queue success to the stage. And it feels like this young player is starting to do more and more of that. And I don't think we saw that as much from himself this game, but also I think we did see a lot of that from the team. Like getting behind, throwing those Barons. Dignitas did make mistakes, but their ability to bounce back and their ability to bounce back on Saligo's back, who I think is really a standout performer in this team. It's easy to talk about Will because he's so young, but I still think Saligo is a fantastic mid laner and one of the stronger ones we have in this tournament. He really showed up in the later stages of that game and was the reason Dignitas were able to crawl back into that game. And it is 1-0 on the scoreboard for Dignitas instead of Immortals.
Exactly, and Saligo had a lot of stories around him throughout the summer as well, starting off in LCS and moving to Academy. As you see, we went into the LCS, but he's had a pretty good split. Like his
really
summer
good.
season has been very consistent, as he is one of the top performers on this roster across all the weeks that they've played, whether it was throughout the season or at UGP. So I think that riding this momentum, I mean, we've said that word a couple of times for Dignitas at this point. Momentum. They're coming off of a strong end of Academy. Their last weekend going 3-1. Then they go through the entire winners bracket of UGP, not dropping a match. Dropped a couple of games here and there, but we're sweeping the early series that they had in there too. And now already starting off Proving Grounds proper 1-0. I mean, the ball's rolling, Cubby. This team, this roster, very exciting to get behind.
And for Dignitas, for these fans, I think Saligo and Will, that's kind of a fun duo. And I know that from talking with Saligo in previous weeks, it's a new role for him, right? Because he is the mentor of this mid-jungle duo. He hasn't really been in that position before. As Saligo is someone that has gone through 100 Thieves Academy, where they won a summer championship in 2019 with Prismal on the team.
One of Kelsey Moser's protege.
Yeah.
Back in the day, yeah.
And you know, Saligo is in those spots, like he's learning. He's the one that's learning. Where this time he's kind of doing the teaching. And I know that from speaking with him, it's something that he relishes, that he feels like he's challenged to do, but it has also forced him to step up his game and forced him to kind of pick up the pieces, whereas Will is still learning things, being very new to the scene, but also, despite being so new to the scene, still showing so much promise.
Exactly, and let's see if that promise continues going into game 2, because we're ready with pick and ban here. Immortals Academy still on the blue side, Dignitas still on the red. Another player that I want to just kind of throw out some hype for as well, I guess more the duo, Spawn and JJ have also been having a very strong performance in CP. And Spawn, I mean, we talked about it, another member, alumni of Supernova, so kind of working his way up through there. Saligo as well, so actually both of them. But now we are into pick and ban. Rapid fire bans coming out. Immortals Academy taking away Thresh, Renekton, and Twisted Fate. So they are identifying Twisted Fate was an issue.
And this forces Dignitas to potentially at least think about a Rise ban here. As Immortals did first pick that in the last one, I think had a pretty solid game on the Rise. And so denying that counter, Dignitas are forced to make a decision. Do they want to take away the Rise? And that decision is going to be yes. So that's the change up. We're going to see a different mid-lane matchup, and this does open up. The first pick of the block is Rise and Twisted Fate. Are two counters in the LB that are now both off the table.
And Pretty's LeBlanc, thing of beauty, everybody. I mean, I've seen this guy pop off on this champ throughout the tail end of the summer split, so definitely something that's putting Pretty in his comfort zone. Let's see what Dignitas's answer is, because you were saying mid lane, two of the better picks into that are already taken off the table. Maybe they go back towards something more bursty, like a Syndra. I'm just trying to think of Saligo's champ pool and what he might default back to, but they are running it back at least with that.
It'd be a Syndra. We've seen Saligo pull out the Wasandra, something that can help shut down the LeBlanc and would match up with the single target damage that Camille brings, as that is hovered. Would not be surprised if that is locked in.
There we go.
As now Immortal's going to have to respond. We did see the Volibear and the Fiora at this point in the last game. I think a Xin Zhao might actually be really nice here for Anda and taking that out of Will's pocket, as that could be a switch up as Xin Zhao LeBlanc, a very strong mid-jungle duo. We also have a couple interrupts for the ability for the Sonar to escape those ganks, with, of course, that ethereal, whatever the claw is that the Sonar is able to throw out. So We're going to see if we just get things swapped up here for Anda, as Viper already switching things up. Not going to be Fiora this time around. Instead, going to opt for his tried and true Jace.
Glacial Path. Took me a while to remember that one as the play-by-play on the
Gotta get the
cast,
flashcards back, man.
I know, I do. I need to just keep studying those. But Jace locked in here for Immortals Academy, and not the Zinzhou. We're going with a Trundle instead. So we got the Ice Troll coming out here for Immortals, and this was banned against them in that last game in the second round of bans. So I guess, and maybe again, this kind of plays into his comfort and what champions he likes to play, what the style is.
Will is going to be pressured to take Diana here, if that is a pick that he wants to go for. Instead, it is going to be his Viego.
Ooh.
So the Viego did see some more changes going into 11-17, but still a pick that Will played to great success in UGP, and will now he will be challenged to get the resets. And for Dignitas, their composition with the Sandra, Camille, and Viego, that's a lot of upfront single target damage to get Viego that first reset. So I like what Dignitas are packing so far. I feel like Immortals are going to have to respond, as we see a lot of marksman bans coming out. Most likely, Varus taken away. Should see an Aphelios ban here as well.
Kind of surprised to see the Varus on Dignitas' side, actually. I love the Varus paired with that Viego, too, because you have that extra range then to follow up and do that bit of damage for Viego to reset off of. But I guess they're also respecting that Keith likes that champion.
Varus into LeBlanc, Jace, and Trundle doesn't feel that great.
Okay.
It would synergize really well with what Immortals are doing. So it might be Spawn looking for something like a Tristana again, as the Ezreal taken away. That is a lane that you can play into Tristana. And I would like to see Immortals actually pay respects to Spawn's Tristana and actually take that away, which they will here. Should still be a marksman pick for the side of Dignitas, unless they want to opt for a support that they feel like could break what Immortals are trying to do. We could see a blind Braum, unironically, from JJ, as he has been very solid on the champion, and that would provide some nice damage mitigation going into the Jace.
Into the Jace for sure. I just feel like it might not pair well enough with what the rest of the team is trying to do, which is go in. It's to engage. It's to get onto these carries. So they're doubling down on that, rather quadrupling down on it with these 4 champions as Rakan is locked in.
Now it's going to be tricky to see what Keith ends up pulling out, as a lot of the safe AD carries have been taken off the table. And he is going to get countered with that AD pick. And of course, Xayah kind of being threatened here from the side of Dignitas. I don't think that's a pick that they'd like very much. As talk about safe AD carries, Jhin plays with a lot of range. Should be the option here for Immortals. That is locked in. Now we're going to have to see if Joey does go for that tried and true Leona.
And there's really nobody on the enemy team that will be stacking armor or even building like that beefy of stats to begin with. So the Jhin pick is actually pretty valuable right here. Will be able to output a lot of damage and avoid the weakness of the Jhin, which is he's not a tank buster. He can't really burst through these big health bars. But when you pair that with the LeBlanc with the Jace, yeah, Immortals Academy's composition pretty scary. And now they have the hard engage of the Alistar. So not opting for that Leona. Instead they want the cow.
I think it's to break the combo coming out of Dignitas, but this will really heavily bait a Vayne pick. Vayne's actually not bad here if they want to go for it. Instead, we'll go for the Xayah. Xayah for Spawn, it's still going to be a little bit tricky for the side of Dignitas, as LeBlanc, you can pretty much trade your ultimate for Xayah's ult, and once you get to like that level 16 point, it's a much better trade for the LeBlanc. And also Xayah can get poked rather heavily by both LeBlanc and Jace, so that ultimate being burned before the team fight even starts is likely for the side of Dignitas. So we will have to try and navigate that and make sure their engages are clean to prevent any poke coming down from Immortals, as they do pack a lot of it in their composition.
I will say, slightly buffed though, Xayah on this patch. The Q now scaling with attack speed, so can help out in those trades in lane as well. So I actually do kind of like this here from Dignitas. It's like the one champion in the draft that isn't going that direction and is instead like, okay, if they get on me, I'm going this direction. Y'all have fun. I'm just going to try and stay alive. So I actually think that it rounds out the comp. Yeah, exactly.
So,
but you're right. Later on into the game, LeBlanc can kind of be too oppressive. So it comes down to keeping pretty under lock.
And that is the whole game plan here for Dignitas. With that Wasana, with that Camille. Can you keep pretty down? Can you prevent him from going off in this matchup, as will be a challenge for Dignitas, but they managed to do it last game with the gold cards. Gonna have to see if they can do it with the Glacial Tomb this time around.
All right, but I'm here and we're ready to hop into game, Cubby. So let's see what Dignitas want to do about this little Blanc as we're loading into Summoner's Rift for game 2 of this best of 3 series. Dignitas Academy are up 1-0 right now, 1 win away from continuing in the upper bracket and knocking down Immortals, who qualified for Academy playoffs with 2 members of the Spring Proving Ground Championship roster in Viper and Anda. 1 loss away from getting knocked into the lower bracket early on. Loaded onto the Rift here. Immortals, they sent a couple members to the top side of the map just to test it out, see if there are any plays to be had, but since there are not, I want to take our time to set up the early stages of the game, Cubby, talking about the compositions, talking about the game plans, and all the different avenues that these junglers have to approach this early game.
And on this Trundle, I feel like the game plan is still to impact the top lane, as I think the big difference for this one is going to be the fact that Dignitas, at least matchup-wise, should be able to secure a little bit more priority in that bot lane. Last time they were able to do it through their play, despite having a not-so-great matchup. And it seems like the plan for each of these junglers is just going to be the same, right? Just who cares about bot lane? Immortals are a very solo lane-focused team with solo lane-focused picks for this one, so both junglers are going to get out onto the map for that top side, trying to impact things.
Diego starting on the bottom side here. Will going for the full clear to start things off. Mirrored by Anda, or rather, kind of copied by Anda, also on the bottom side of the map. Both passing towards that top lane, the Jace versus Camille matchup. We saw this earlier in the day, back when it was Team Liquid versus Supernova. The Camille did walk out quite ahead in that matchup, but this time it's a Viper on the Jace, and gotta give respect to that player here. So I think that it's wise for Will passing up to that top side. You do not want Viper to get out of control either, because we highlighted the LeBlanc, but Birdie's only one part of the threat of Immortals. They like to play through both solo lanes.
And we have Anda going for that romp instead of the blue buff, trying to get that health back and potentially trying to impact top as fast as possible. Viper has set things up for a 3-wave crash, as it is going to be a ward drop. Instead of going top, looks like Anda might try and get up into the face of Will. Or Saligo as he's wrapping around.
Just go mid.
Yeah.
Saligo here, very far forward, does not expect this. Glacial Path does not take it because you're going right into the Trundle, so nowhere to go. First blood over to Anda.
Love that setup coming out from Anda, and we see Lorlo paying respects with that trinket. Saligo still has his active, so not throwing that down here. Will get punished for it. The saving of Flash, correct play from the mid laner of Dignitas, as he knew he was going down. And Anda, we credited him for how intelligent his pathing is, for how powerful he is as a jungler, with just the smart abilities of, you know, where to be on the map. Is a great example of him changing up that path, not going for top lane how we expected, but instead having the correct audible going mid and forcing Saligo to fall behind early.
And trying to get Pretty ahead too. Now it is Anda that gets the kill, not the LeBlanc, but we talked about the importance of getting Pretty off the ground, getting this little LeBlanc into the game early on. And I can't get much earlier than a old 3 camp into mid lane gang. So Pretty not actually that far ahead though because of it, just has the assist gold. Picks up the Dark Seal, but doesn't have any stacks on it yet. Saligo does have a little more CS here. Teleport to lane quicker. He's trying to shove this one in. As we did actually see double scuttles picked up by Will, so because of the early action from Anda here, Will is able to get an advantage elsewhere.
That's still well worth it for the side of Immortals, as Trundle, a pick focused on getting his laners ahead. Will on the Diego, much more focused on getting himself ahead. So this is a trade coming out from Immortals, but one that I feel like they're trading up in.
It'll come down to Will, what he can do with the advantage that he's finding for himself.
Look at this
which,
from JJ.
to be fair, pretty much the same. JJ, yeah, is roaming all the way through the top lane right now. Leaving Spawn alone on that island. Dangerous to do. Level 4 on the Xayah. Do you actually hard commit for this? Will's looking for it. There's the hook shot from Lorlo. Aiding damage traded from Viper, but Viper's not taking the bait here. JJ spotted on the minions. Viper just walks back to safety of his turret. No successful game from Dignitas.
Yeah, but nothing lost besides just some XP on JJ as Spawn. Not at risk of being dove, but Joey is using the fact that he does have that shove to now try and get out onto the map. Does walk around the blue side jungle of Dignitas to dodge out on the crab. Now arrive mid, but is spotted on a control ward. Don't think he can clear this one. Oh, I lied. He's good.
Oh, nice.
Can't milk those.
Well, Anda was nearby. Pretty was as well. I think if Dignitas try and overcommit onto the cow to prevent that, yeah, maybe just dying. But they drop another one down, so there we go. They got a replacement.
That's gone
Joey
too.
will also clear that. Oh, it's tragedy. GG, Immortals Academy. Hard winning this early game. I mean, unironically, though, they are doing a very good job. 1,000 gold ahead at 5.5 minutes. Nothing to slouch at.
A lot of this coming from the laning of Viper, and the nice path from Andis to secure that first blood is... Now it looks like Immortals potentially setting their sights onto this first dragon if they can take that before Herald spawns.
We looked for it. It's the flash out of Jin. Oh, but Joey, rooted during the combo, does not knock up spawn there. I think that's the interaction that I saw. Otherwise, unless Joey just missed the combo, but it looked like the Feather Recall stopped it.
It's a bit of both. And now Keith, no
Both.
flash.
He goes back in. Yeah, Keith walks too far forward. You just flashed, and JJ knows that, so locked down. Spawn picks up the kill, and that's Ligo. Raiding against Pretty. Both electrocutes go down. You're not the better of that one, but no kills. Bot lane, though, Spawn getting a kill. That's big.
Yeah, I really like the play from JJ, right? Forcing that flash, just understanding the fact that you have your jungler on Gromp and Will coming down to support that after. Good team play coming out of Dignitas, understanding their windows of when they can aggress and punishing that summoner spell being down. That prevents Immortals from what they were trying to do. The reason that Keith was overextended, which was potentially set up that dragon before Rift Herald spawns. Now you prevent that from happening, and Immortals will have to try and side for Rift Herald, which is the much more valuable objective when you have a team with Jason.
You see JJ backs, picks up the Ionian Boots of Lucidity, and runs right back into the top jungle.
Yep.
So JJ's on the top half of the map, ready to prep for this. Joey's here first. The Alistair's already on the top brush. But resetting, I think Dignitas Academy. Oh, they even spotted.
Oh, wow.
AJ just spotted Joey back, so they should know there's no cow up here. You can go very aggressive out of Viper. Hextech ultimatum down by Lorlo. Viper flashes the knockup. Can't trade the kill. Lorlo picks it up.
That's really unlucky timing for the side of Immortals, but still good play from Dignitas as JJ, once again, in the right place at the right time, understanding that that bot lane matchup doesn't really matter. Alistar can never really truly pressure spawn Xayah. He always has the ult and the flash at the moment to dodge out on that. Now Joey, because he recalled, trying to get back out onto the map and do something positive, but the window's gone. JJ's returning to this lane, and Dignitas, yet again, managed to pick up something on the map, and yet again, Will is involved as well on this Viego.
And the gold's right back to even, so they've brought us back to a game state of parity right now. Will, 51 CS with 2 assists, has been present for both of the kills that his team has picked up, whether it was bot lane, whether it was up there in the top lane here, and is now level 6 on the Viego, so can look for the resets, and Dignitas Academy's composition is really starting to come online now. I'm worried for Immortals because they still haven't gotten Pretty off the ground. This LeBlanc, going even against the Lissandra. This is kind of why you picked the Lissandra to begin with, is just because it kind of hard shuts down the LeBlanc in lane, which then means you kind of want to get out of that lane if you're LeBlanc. Hasn't found that yet, but they are getting the Herald trade.
Yeah, that's
for
good.
Dragon. Dignitas Academy will take that trade.
This is Immortals trading up, though, with the Herald, and I do want to return to what you're citing as we will see a trade of objectives. Joey, I don't think he should go down here at all. Just going to make sure that Keith's able to get in. Something that Viper talked about, that Immortals has been working on in this off time, leading up to Proving Grounds, is that communication and consistency in the mid game around comps. Now, this is something that, credit to Immortals in their loss in the first game, I think they did really well. They did return to that game plan of playing through sides, and they weren't able to force Dignitas in some awkward situations. And frankly, that is a game that Immortals almost won through their mid game play. Now with this one, it's another early game where Dignitas have fought back despite Immortals' first punch, and they're going to need to rely on what they've been working on throughout the break, which is that improved mid-game as Keith. Oh, still no flash.
Hard engage onto Keith bot lane. Joey looks to save him. Cannot. Nicely done by Dignitas. Again, capitalizing on Keith. Too far forward on this Jhin. Not have the mythic item completed yet, so... Yeah, okay, that's another kill. That's more golden XP denied from Immortals 80 carry. Granted, Jhin can still throw out those W's in these fights, but Dignitas, if they keep getting kills funneled on the spawn, that's going to be another threat for Immortals to worry about.
And Keith can't be there if his support is not there to support him. He needs to just kind of see the wave, be a tower. He was trying to go for vision, look for a pick, but Joey wasn't close enough, and Dignitas do properly punish yet again. as Spawn and JJ, much like game 1, Kangas really stepping it up here in the second game. And it's through them, through that 2v2 play, that they have really built this 1k gold lead. Something that we aren't used to seeing out of Dignitas. Usually it's Ligo and Will manufacturing these leads with their play on the map as the mid-jungle duo, but is it changed for Dignitas? The fact that their bot lane really getting the best of IMT's bot lane in these first 2 games.
Exactly. 2 games, 2 2v2 kills. I guess maybe that last one doesn't fully count. It's like a 2 and a 1.5 kill because Joey only made it there at the very tail end of it. But still, you're right. Spawn and JJ putting on the pressure onto Immortals Academy in a way that we don't often see them do. But at the same time, JJ, he's not just focused on that lane. Getting around the map, this is now the 3rd time JJ has made the trek all the way to the top lane. And it's just helping back up Lorlo as well. The Herald hasn't been used yet by Immortals Academy. That's what they invested their time into. So that's what their payoff will be. If they're going to find a way to get themselves back in this game, now at a 1,000 gold deficit, I'm looking at that Herald. I'm looking at Anda. Where are you going to choose to drop this down? Because plates are still on the table.
You can see how respectful Viper has to play of Lorlo, and Lorlo just continuously trying to pull that wave. Doesn't have 4 creeps, and it is a cannon wave, so that will shove back into Viper, but you still see Lorlo trying to deny as many resources as possible and trying to play the way similar to what we saw Jenkins do in the set against Cozy, right? Pulling the wave, forcing Jace to overcommit as,
Flash from Joey. Hard commit onto Will. They get the stun. Pillars out. Flash forward. Will's out of there. Oh, Immortals. They committed a lot for that one. That was Subjugate Ultimate from Trundle. That was Flash Ignite from Joey, and they cannot get the kill.
Flash won't, and Ignite, that won't be back up for the next objective, but it is the right time to kind of go fishing for a play for Immortals, as there's no monster objective up on the map. This is part of the game where, you know, you can look optimistically to make those plays, Kangas, and while it doesn't connect for Immortals, we'll have most of those abilities up for the next skirmish, which is looking to be the second dragon, the Ocean Dragon, as Saligo getting pressured.
Oh, Saligo, he's rooted. He can't take the path. Has to flash the wall. Anda follows up. Self-ultimate. Will's here. Doesn't have the ult available, so can't go for those resets, but JJ rather actually goes for the cheeky little engager. He's like, team, I'm participating. Are we going? No? All right. I'm Rakan. We're out of here.
A little bit of miscommunication from Dignitas, but no harm, no foul, as that Herald drops a dig. Actually, because they've kind of thrown Anda across the map, they do force that Herald to just be thrown in the mid lane, which doesn't get plates over to the Jace, the person that Immortals is really looking to accelerate forward. Those plates just go over to Anda and into the mid lane and don't produce first bricks. So Dignitas, honestly forcing some of these skirmishes and pushing Anda across the map, do win out slightly with a not perfectly optimal Herald drop coming out from Immortals that is being forced out of Dignitas' play.
And I'm not even sure if anybody was in range to get that, so that means it's just right onto Anda. I didn't see if anybody else present in the mid lane got that, but yeah, Viper, it's just been kind of a snooze fest for the last couple of minutes in the top lane. Not what we expect when we think of Viper in the top lane. He's a player that usually will make his own plays happen, but given a lot of respect as the Jace into that Camille, and also the fact that now JJ 4th time into the top lane here. Yeah, it's not exactly a fair fight for Viper.
It's not only that, but also Saligo has been sitting on TP for the vast majority of this game. And Viper knows that if he Qs in or goes over aggressive, Saligo will instantly TP top, and Viper would go down. And he did burn Flash from the last play that JJ attempted on him, so he does now have that back up. This will enable him to play a little bit more aggressively, but in a slower game, we're seeing some of the small things on the map that are preventing Viper from going hard in the top lane.
Lorlo, look at top lane right now. Joey was here, goes for the engage, interrupts the hook shot. And Joey will start tanking up this turret, has the ultimate available. There's that teleport from Saligo. And Lorlo's out? Wow, I did not expect him to live that, but I guess Camille's slippery enough here. Flashes to the safety of turret, doesn't even have to Hextech ultimatum. And Immortals do not get the kill.
And look at Keith. He is really taking a safe path in the bot lane. Instead of first brick going over to the Jace, to Immortals, it looks like it's going to go over to Spawn. In the bot lane is TP coming out from Pretty.
Really goes out. He's fine. Joey does not have flash to follow that up, nor would the team be able to follow him up either. So, turret race. Dignitas get it. Spawn was alone in that bottom lane the entire time and picks that one up. Viper will answer in the top lane. But meanwhile, Dignitas also get a dragon. That's now 2 in their pocket here. Let's see what Soul Rift will have. It will be a Cloud Soul. Or at Dignitas if they can get 2 more drags.
that is Dignitas trading up across the map. I think Prettiest TP is because they knew that that dragon was down, so they might as well just attempt something optimistic in the top lane to try and get the cross-map win. So they forced Siligo off a couple waves. Small win for Immortals, but overall, still Dignitas trading up across the map. And Angus, I think a lot of the credit is that they are surviving these plays. The engages on Lore, though. The engages on Will. They're eating them, and they are not going down for their sins, whereas on the side of Dignitas, their ability to sync up and focus down Keith, have him be at 0-2, or JJ finding the roam onto Viper and having that kill land. Dignitas, their communication, their plays have landed, Immortals have not, and that's why they find themselves with a lead.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to pull off every play of your Dignitas. Just the fact that you pulled off a couple makes Immortals a little scared to contest you. Whenever they see JJ around, they're like, okay, the last couple times he's gotten a kill, so let's back up. But Herald started now by the side of Immortals. It's actually taken by the side of Immortals. They get the full Herald. Dignitas Academy were too busy playing around in the mid lane, but they did not spot that to contest it in time. That will be Immortals with another objective. But over the wall, Warlow getting very aggressive right now. They follow up with the charm. Double knock up here with Hextech Ultimatum. Joey's down, but Viper's joined in. It's traded right back as Warlow has fallen to the resets for Will. JJ gets the other kill onto Anda. And Dignitas get a trade 2-for-1.
Viper was he was on the Raptors, but he's being pulled bot as a wave did crash in that bot lane. And Dignitas timed their engage with this, as you're not going to see Viper spotted. I think that's why Dignitas pulled off a play that at first looked like it was potentially over-aggressive, but they just focused down the cow beautifully, allow Will to get resets, and once Viego gets one reset in a fight, you cannot win the fight, as Viper wasn't able to participate and also loses that wave bot. The Dignitas syncing up their plays, timing that, find another win on the map for themselves and continue to slowly push the pace of this game in their favor.
Slow push of the pace, but a very advantageous one right now, because Dignitas 3 kills on spawn. This Xayah, we already mentioned how defensive she can play, but also outputs a good amount of damage. She is in fact an 80 carry after all. So Immortals, they really need to be respecting this Xayah, but also thinking about, okay, how do we deal with this Xayah? As the Dragon stacking can continue for Dignitas, they can just keep grouping up for these big objectives and taking these team fights, when we already highlighted how well this composition sets up the Viego, which really seen a couple hints of that at this point, not even at its full strength. Immortals, they got their work cut out for them here, as they're formulating, okay, what is our next play?
I think for Immortals, the fact that if you keep LeBlanc in a side lane isolated against the Lissandra needs help to win that matchup. She can always lock down LeBlanc with the Frozen Tomb, but we see Pretty opting for the Merc Treads, trying to get some tenacity to decrease the time that he is going to be locked down. I'm going to be surprised to see a Banshee's Veil as well. That would be him playing extra safe. The Merc Treads signals that he may not be going that route, but it's still an option. You can see Immortals trying to spread out the map, trying to force Dignitas to still respond to their plays. They do have the Jace lane, they do have the block inside. They do also have the poke, which they're trying to connect with now.
They might find a pick.
Yeah,
they have a lot of damage. That's something that we kind of have forgotten because we were so focused on the earlies. I was so focused on the Viego, is that, yeah, I mean, even though Immortals don't have the Viego, if they did, this would be like the perfect comp for it. Chase with LeBlanc poke, Jhin follow-up as well, but even without the resets of a Viego, still a scary composition, and you saw there, JJ very squishy on the Rakan, almost blown up by Pretty. Even Lorlo, fairly squishy on the Camille, takes a good chunk of damage, so Dignitas Academy, don't get complacent, don't get sloppy with this. You have a lead, make sure that you're holding on to it.
Yeah, this is
as I say that, though, it's pretty close now.
And this is an okay map state for Immortals, as Siligo will respond to that top push, but Immortals have reset first for this dragon. And if they get into the river first, Jhin poke combined with Chase and LeBlanc could be very dangerous for Dignitas. They aren't able to find a clean engage, as the goal for Dignitas, whoever gets Frozen Tombed, that member needs to die. Get Viego resets. They have a lot of single target damage to try and do that. For Immortals, it's landing enough poke to just prevent an engage entirely, or force Dignitas into a bad engage where they aren't able to one-shot someone with the Frozen Tomb. And because of that early reset and early control they have, they forced Dig to really throw 4 members mid as they were just trying to control the river. We might see a trade of Dragon for a turret here, but seeding that mid poke, or that mid wave.
Get the top laners, though.
Yeah.
Lorlo's coming from the river. Viper's coming from behind the dragon wall. Siligo goes in. They caught Keith. and he's just blown up at the start of the fight. Beautiful pick there from Dignitas. Great target selection. And the resets from Will mean that Immortals have to back off. So Ligo sees the angle and just pulls the trigger.
There's no cleanse, there's no crucible, there's no QSS on Keith, and this means that he's able to really push up, force this easily. So Ligo does go golden. JJ isn't off to deter that, but that puts Dignitas on Soul Point. And we talked about whoever gets Frozen Tomb needs to die first. Dignitas execute upon that beautifully, and it is Saligo finding this engage. This is a really nice Lysander engage. Keith should not be here, but since he is, Saligo punishes this beautifully.
And you even see, uses the heal, uses the flash, still goes down. Does not matter. And that was actually Lorlo Hexwick ultimating Anda. I was like, how did Keith get all the way over to Raptor Pit? He was kind of knocked over there like a bowling ball, or rather a pin, getting smacked by that bowling ball. Keith even has the Gale Force now, but no summoner spells. Needs to play these next couple minutes very carefully, very reserved here, because Dignitas keep getting these leads. Now up to 2,000, like you said, on Soul Point as well. And Baron's now on the table too, so if they get another play like that, 2 kills, Dignitas could probably just start up the Baron and hard force it.
And what I like for Dignitas too is that this isn't the most complicated comp to pull off. This is pretty straightforward, as Dignitas trying to collapse yet again.
Just kind of run at them as JJ. You know,
yeah, here goes Saligo.
You go for the engage. Now Saligo tries to get on the back line, but Joey, of course, can block him off. Lorlo not taking that hook shot over the wall. Will disengage, but that
Keith?
will be flashed down on Anda. Okay.
Where's Keith?
Keith somehow, some way, made it into the bottom lane between the turrets, and yeah, realized, wait a minute. I left my keys at home. I just gotta take the quick Race Cream Express back. Not quite sure how I made it here.
Me neither. It's been a really tough game.
Can we get a
Keith.
replay of Keith's pathing?
it's been a really tough game for Keith, as he's sitting at 0-4 and lost the 2v2, now being targeted down by Dignitas and in no man's land there. As Immortals looking a little bit desperate to make some plays, they engage on the JJ, but he just sneaks on out. And this is really a tough situation for Immortals, as because bot lane was able to get so far ahead for Dignitas, that enabled JJ to be first on the plays, to find favorable ganks onto Viper, who also had to burn flash and still went down to one of those. That has really prevented Immortals from executing the game plan that I think they wanted to, which is playing through their very strong solo laners.
Immortals are struggling. I think that's, again, the momentum that we were talking about from Dignitas. They've had positive momentum coming in. They had a great end to their summer split. UGP was a great opportunity for them to kind of turn things around and keep their momentum rolling forward. Whereas then you look at Immortals Academy, they haven't played a game in quite a while. But Lorlo in the bot lane against Viper. Will's here too, but Spawn actually gets the kill over the wall. And it is now 5-0-3 on the Xayah. This is a series coming in from Dignitas right now as we get the replay of Keith's path.
I think the goal here is that they want to pincer the side of Dignitas, which makes sense, but I guess we just...
Do Joey and Anda take the blast come back and Keith just sticks around? I feel like maybe it's got to be something like... Oh, he's over the wall. He's trying to use the range.
Yeah, I guess he can't blast cone over because it'd be into Saligo. So just a really good collapse from Dignitas forces Keith in a weird situation. As yeah, that's just something from the team going fishing. Keith, he can't blast cone over that wall, or else he just gets one shot by Lysandra. So he's at least trying to buy time to get the waves. All right, that's not quite as tough as I thought, but still, props to Dignitas for putting on so much pressure across the map. And now Kang gets red spot where we're a $115 away from what could be Cloud Soul Point for Dignitas. I know that this isn't the most thrilling soul, the most powerful soul that we have in the game, but more ultimates for Saligo, that's more chances for Viego to make plays off of those ultimates. And can only
JJ.
Yeah, can only help Dignitas in the long run, as they're actually looking to collapse on this top side, as Joey was hovering pretty. Northo now up here to hover Saligo.
Joey's out. He's gotten back to the safety of the turret, but you gotta imagine that thing is going down here shortly. Dignitas are putting their muscle behind the top lane now, pushing that wave in. And they also have control around the Baron pit because of this. Now, Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. maybe they want to start rotating down there instead. But I mean, at the same point, you said Cloud Soul not the most impactful. So even if it's Soul for you, you can just give it to the enemy team and take Baron instead. Oftentimes, teams will still be willing to do that.
But look at how prepared and strong Dignitas are going to be for this fight. 2 stopwatches for their top side. Izanya's for Saligo, enabling him with Flash to make whatever play he wants, and then Spawn, 5-0-3, already has that LDR. He's going to be shredding through anyone that Immortals presents in front of this Xayah, and Pretty's not at the point yet where he can go get the level 16, like quick ultimate R to really trade ults with Spawn and put him in a disadvantageous situation. So Dignitas, knowing their strength, push through that mid turret, get the outer for themselves, and Immortals can't even contest this Cloud Soul. They're just going to wait until Elder try and prevent the Baron from going over.
And again, this is still pretty impactful. Dragon Soul for Dignitas Academy composition, specifically Rakan, one of the best champions with Cloud Soul. Popping your ult for the movement speed anyway. Well, how about an extra burst on top of the Shurelya's? You're going to be running at Keith real fast, and he's going to be very careful about that. So Soul picked up. Teleport's going into the top lane right now as Dignitas are roaming up there too. Looks like defensive teleports from Immortals as the camera fans up. Viper in trouble, locks down, and he's taken down. JJ even follows up on a Pretty. Double kill to Lorlo, and that should be Baron for Dignitas.
It's as easy as 1, 2, 3 for Dignitas as they use those lockdown ultimates to find 2 members of Immortals, and now still have the option to make a turn. It's a 5v3, and if Will gets one reset, that fight is over. Really tough for Immortals.
And it might have to flash. I think you kind of have to flash to go for the steal here. But no, Immortals, they're stuck on the opposite side now. Anda's just going for a back. Trying to reset right now. They're calling off the steal attempt. Immortals will just catch the mid-wave, shove in one here, but Dignitas Academy coming out massively ahead off of this play.
And what a performance
that might be a turret.
Our 8th place Academy team as Panda, nice cancel.
Okay, has the pillar, but JJ can still lock him down here. The Battle Dance knocks him up. Lorlo providing a lot of damage here. Subjugate's down. Anda's trying to steal away the stats, but it doesn't matter against the true damage. And Lorlo picks up the kill. They don't even get the tier 2 mid turret. Immortals struggling under the pressure of Dignitas Academy. You said it, the 8th place Academy team having a resurgence off of the end of their final week in Academy and then going into UGP, and they are riding that momentum forward.
And it's been Will for a lot of it, but this one, a lot of credit deservingly should go to Spawn and JJ, who have taken 2 lanes and have straight up just won them in the 2v2 and really opened up things for Dignitas to attack the game plan of Immortals. That is their solo laners, right? Attacking Pretty, attacking Viper. Because JJ was up, he had first move, he had first roam, they were able to put them behind, and this lockdown with Saligo Cassandra, it's too much to deal with.
Ooh, Saligo goes forward.
He's got his team now.
He's there to back him up. Viper's been here this entire time. Immortals just gave up the middle inhibitor because they were trying to get a pick on the Saligo in the bottom lane. But that's Lissandra with Zonius, with Ultimate, with that Glacial Path. You're not getting on top of that Lissandra. And Saligo plays it pretty safe, plays it well. These sets come through for Dignitas Academy. I imagine this is the game-ending push here with the gold that they're about to spend, with the lead that they have. Let's get a look at the replay to see how this played out.
Well, we're going to see R pressed on Viper, and then we're going to see R pressed on the block, and guess what? Neither of them can move, so they both die. Boom. Analysis.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's why we pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, for Dignitas, we talked about how easy it is to execute their composition. This is just clinical from them, and Immortals have missed their windows, missed their strengths to get those solo laners off the ground, and because of that, it's been all Dig. Not only, I should say for game 1, they did bounce back, but now for game 2.
Oh, he said too.
Really tough to play the block into Camille and Lissandra.
Yeah, a lot of lockdown. Both of those ultimates pretty annoying to deal with. And, I mean, with that pick here, Dignitas, let's see how you close it out. 5 members grouping up mid. It's going to come down to the hard shove. Go for the game-ending play. Immortals Academy. They made it to the playoffs. They're into Proving Grounds. They have 2 of the Proving Ground champions from Spring Split. They're about to fall 2-0 to Dignitas Academy, the winners of UGP under the turret, diving them. Keith is down again, and Dignitas just cannot be stopped. Massive gold lead means a massive team fight win and a 2-0 victory for Dignitas.
And this is a victory that I think surprises a lot of fans, a lot of the community, and proves that Dignitas have really leveled up throughout UGP, throughout this split, as I know that a lot of the words being thrown around in the Dignitas camp were communication, confidence, getting over that mental block. And man, does it look like they've gotten over all of that? Game 1 was a comeback, but Game 2 was clinical coming out of Dignitas. And as an 11 seed, man, I don't want to face this team. This is a scary team coming out of a very powerful quadrant.
Exactly, and that's what you said, the quadrant of this part of the bracket. If you go to the website, check out the entire double bracket, and just go to the middle 8 teams, and you realize 2 of them are going to be gone, knocked out right away in their first 2 series, and all of those teams in the middle of the pack, pretty tough teams to beat. So just the way that the format breaks out, this is fantastic for Dignitas Academy, giving themselves an extra life here and getting the first series win. As we take a look at the replays, because I mean, it starts pretty good for Immortals. The only thing I'd say is maybe you want to give that kill to Pretty instead.
I mean, that's the only play. That's the only play that goes their way. From here, it's all Dig. As I love the timing of this play. I know that we can't see the bottom wave, but Viper's losing a double wave into the turret, and he's forced to respond to this, and then they get nothing. And this is another instance where Dignitas are utilizing the map, utilizing their macro, utilizing things that I've criticized them for throughout the Academy split. Not playing around sideways waves well, sacking too many, not setting them up before plays. They fixed all of that coming into this tournament, and this is a huge upset victory for them. Not only the fact that they were able to 2-0 Immortals, but in the style that it happened as well, and the members stepping up for Dignitas. JJ and Spawn put together a very impressive series, and really nothing but good things to say about Dig, whereas for Immortals, I think I'm really surprised the way they went down.
And I mean, I just got to say it. We were going into the pre-show, going into these games like, Will. Let's hype up Will. Let's talk about Will. And yes, he had a good performance. I don't want to take anything away from him, but you're right. It was the other members of Dignitas that actually stepped up. And the funny thing is, talking to Immortals coach Jensen, he was saying that, you know, their plan was to just kind of make Will's life tough, pull him to multiple lanes at once, try and win through their solo lanes, make sure every lane's on fire so that he can't put them all out at the same time. And they did not succeed in that mission, especially in this game too, where it was pretty much Dignitas doing that to Immortals.
Yeah, and I think that if I had to give an MVP for the series, I know that what Spawn and JJ did were rather impressive, and I think Game 2 you have to give it to them, but also honorable mention to Soligo, the fact that that he won Game 1. He brought them back in that one, and then the Wasander pick. I mean, it's so difficult for Immortals to play the way they want to in the 1-3-1 when you have LeBlanc and Jace into a Lysandra. There's no way to outplay R, right? It's just throw him in the tomb, one-shot him with Camille, and Dignitas played that very, very well. A great look from them, and what a way to kick off Proving Grounds for the 11 seed as our hot hand, the victors out of UGP, start things off with a nice 2-0 over Immortals.
Momentum continues to roll for Dignitas Academy here. We do actually have a post-game interview, as we'll have JJ hopping on to chat with us about that series win. A quick 2-0 to close out the day. So when JJ is ready, we got him on. JJ, welcome to the stream. First of all, congratulations on the win. Second of all, that is a really cool background that you have there. Where are you right now?
Thank you. I'm in the Dignitas office in stream pod number 1. It's actually just a giant TV, and that's just the background. So,
not bad.
Pretty sick.
Yeah. Well, JJ, I want to kick things off. First off, congrats on that 2-0. I know that I caught up with Will before the match started, and he spoke a lot about kind of how that win in UGP helped improve your guys' mental, improve the confidence going into this event. And man, did you show up today. So what have things been like going throughout UGP, taking home the trophy in that tournament, now transitioning some of that momentum into Proving Grounds?
I think UGP for us was extremely helpful. Like, by the end of the season, we were pretty, defeated. We weren't doing so well. But we knew that, like, we're going to play a lot more games together, and that would give us a chance to get better. So I think we all really took it in stride. And Will got to come out to LA for a couple of weeks, which helped a lot too. And he got to, like, meet all of us in person and know, like, our personalities more, because, him being online can be hard sometimes. And then, just taking it from after we won UGP, we've been scrimming as much as we can, which has been difficult sometimes because Will's still in school, like I said, but I think we're making the most of the scrims that we've got, and we're all just really good individual players, and so we just got to keep working on the team stuff, and we'll be one of the top teams for sure.
I mean, the story of how Will came onto the team and then your performance with him so far has been nothing short of impressive. So my next question for you is, what were the struggles initially of having Will playing remote rather than with the team? And now, I mean, so he's playing remote currently for Proving Grounds, correct?
Yep.
And then did you learn any lessons from his initial playing remote that are going to help you as he's back to remote with a pretty tough school schedule?
Well, it's a bit different now because even before when he first started, he was remote. He wasn't School hadn't started yet. Um, but I'm not really sure. I feel like that's a question that would be better for him to answer since he's the one that's working with us remotely. But
Sure.
if I can think of anything off the top of my head, yeah, honestly, I'm not sure if there's anything in particular that he.
All right, we'll save that question for the next time you win your next series, right?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then we'll get Will on the chat.
And I do have
Mhm.
something that hits a little bit closer to home, which is actually your 2v2 play with Spawn. You guys found two 2v2 kills in both games today. Game 1, Tristana Braum. Game 2, you had a little bit of help, but you also managed to catch out Keith. This is something that from you we weren't seeing a whole lot of throughout the Academy split, but in UGP and now here, feels like you guys have really started to pick up the play. Is there anything that like you'd credit for that? Is it a meta shift? Is it you guys just finding champs that you feel like you can kind of do that on? Like, what's kind of been the secret sauce for you guys in the bot lane?
I think for me and Spawn, it's just like confidence and just like building trust. As the season went on, I think we were still like good individually, but we weren't sure what to do together all the time. And now I feel like we're almost always on the same wavelength and like understanding exactly what we want to do with our matchups. So like in scrims, we usually do extremely well as a 2v2 bot lane, and I'm confident that like if we just keep playing at the level that we're playing, we're going to be one of the best bot lanes in this tournament.
I mean, yeah, if you keep playing like that and keep finding those lane kills, then certainly. Now, looking at the bracket, you are in a pretty rough clump. You're going to be going up against the winner of FlyQuest Academy versus Zoos. So very high seeded Academy team coming in here from the regular season and then playoffs. And then also Zoos, one of the top ranked amateur teams. So looking a little bit into the future, into your next match, kind of, I guess, what do you think of the competition in the bracket that you're going to be facing? Do you have confidence that you're going to be able to make it and challenge Team Liquid Academy if they make the run through their half of the bracket? Or do you think that FlyQuest Academy or Zoos will be a little more competitive than Immortals were today, giving you that 0-2?
I think both Zeus and FlyQuest are decent teams. I think it would be more fun for us to face FlyQuest because that's my old team, and I'm really good friends with Triple. And we used to hang out a lot, and we still do from time to time. So I'd love to take him down too, but I think we could take either of them, honestly, as long as we keep doing what we're doing and improving on what we've already built.
Yeah, I mean, whatever you guys are doing, it's working out as you have torn through UGP, now torn through the first round of Proving Grounds, and we'll have a date with either FlyQuest or Zoos, which we will find out later. But JJ, before we wrap things up, just want to give you a moment. Anything else you'd like to say to the fans? Any thank yous to sponsors or fans? Anything like that?
Yeah, thanks Dignitas, QNTMPAY, all our sponsors, all our fans, and I know a lot of our teammates' families also watch our games, so shout out to them as well.
Nice. You got to have the family back home cheering on the teams. Thank you so much, JJ, for coming on for our post-series interview, and best of luck preparing for your next series.
Thank you.
All right, and with that said, wow, quick day, Bubby. Two 2-0s in a row. Day one of Proving Grounds in the books. What were the surprises for you, if any? Or did it go exactly according to the script?
I think the Team Liquid Supernova matchup went about the way that we expected. This one did not. I thought this one would go to 3. I think that we did have a very competitive 2 games, but especially in that game too, Dignitas really starting to establish themselves as a team that is to be trifled with in this tournament as well. I think that a lot of people had high hopes for Immortals bringing in 2 other Proving Grounds champions into their lineup, and it just didn't seem to be there for Immortals today. So I really want to see if Viper and Anda can pick things up and make that climb back to get to finals if they want to do it. They got to do it now through the lower bracket. And Dignitas, meanwhile, A very impressive win from them, as that UGP, right? We had a question coming in. How good were Dignitas, given the fact they won a tournament without the top 10 teams seeded in this tournament? Those 10 teams were not participating in UGP, and Dignitas seems like they have an answer for us, and that's pretty damn good. So good to see out of them.
And again, just Immortals hadn't played a competitive game since August 5th, so it had been almost a full month since they've been on stage playing games based on Academy playoffs. But yeah, the UGP buff here for Dignitas Academy, clearly they came in form. So congratulations to the teams that won to kick off our first day of Proving Grounds. Crazy to think that 2 of the champions from last split are now in the lowers bracket already. But you know that there's more action right around the corner. We'll be back same place, same time tomorrow for more Proving Grounds action. You won't want to miss it, so we'll see you there. Have a good night, everybody.